we go. That's a little better. All right. I'm going to turn it back over again to Mike Famelot.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Mike Famelot. I am the producer and director of the show In the Shadow of Big Red Eye. I'm also your MC for this weekend. Anyways, do you guys want to hear a funny story? I'm assuming you do, right?
Yeah.
So I was Bigfooting in Whitehall, New York with a pair of twins, which is always a phenomenal time if you ever get the opportunity. Anyways, we were in Whitehall, New York, and it's about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I decide that we're gonna take a hike. But when you hike with Mike, it's not a normal hike, as Gwen knows. It's off-trail hiking, so it's about 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're going through, it's about a mile to this place I wanted to get to, and the grass is about this tall. So we're swimming through the grass on this hike. This quickly turns into one of the hikes that I don't want to do anymore. Has everybody been and had experienced one of those hikes? Yeah. Anyways, it's about 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're setting off into the woods, and it is mosquito-y. I mean bad. For a Bigfoot researcher to say that it's mosquito-y, it's gotta be pretty bad, right? So anyways, I'm putting on off like it's my job. I should be in an off commercial at this point in my life. And anyways, I put it on, I throw it to the twins, and they say, no, we have our own stuff. I said, peculiar. Anyways, we start the hike, and it's very buggy. We get about halfway done to it, and they start spraying their, what I thought to be bug spray on, right? And I'm walking behind them, and it's wafting back into my eyes and my nose and my mouth, and it smells and tastes horrible, like really bad, right? So anyways, I keep my composure, and then after the hike, I'm like, guys, what kind of bug spray was that? Was that some like all natural stuff? They're like, we didn't spray any bug spray. I'm like, well, what did you spray then? I said, oh, the deer urine? Yes, that's the time I got deer urine. Gwen Purcell is a paramedic of 13 years. She was a total non-believer. After her sighting, she began researching Bigfoot in her area. She is the creator of Got Knockers, which is a Bigfoot brand of merchandise that's very awesome. She travels all over the eastern seaboard sharing her stories and helping people with experiences they have had. She visits youth groups in her area and talks to them about nature and, of course, Bigfoot. Her goal is to get kids out from behind their cell phones and game systems to experience all that nature has to offer. She is currently working on creating a weekend camping program for teenagers in her area. Guys, let's give her a warm welcome, Gwen Purcell!
Woo!
Does this come off? Because I'm a walker. So the funny story is he didn't tell you about the 10-day trip in Georgia with him, where I almost died in the cold. In northern Georgia. Who thought it would be cold there, right? It's Georgia, for God's sakes. But yeah, I almost died. It was like 19 degrees, the wind was horrible, and I got up in the middle of the night and slept in the car. When he woke up in the morning, my tent was overflipped, it was half in the fire, and he thought I was still in it. So I hear, Gwen, and I whip open the car door and I'm like, what? He's like, oh my gosh. He thought I died. Good times. So normally when I do a presentation, I have a presentation for you to see, like evidence and stuff. Unfortunately, we can't do that here this weekend. So if anything you want to see, just come see me at my booth and I'll be happy to show it to you. I have everything on my phone or my laptop. So this year, I decided to talk about research. What we do, why we do it, and what do we do with the information that we collect. Hold on. Next. I'm doing this by my phone. So, by definition, the definition of research is careful study and investigation for the purpose of discovering and explaining new knowledge. Now, that works great with elephants or chimpanzees or, porcupines or any creature that is known to be there. It gets a little dicey with creatures like Bigfoot, Dogman, Loch Ness, because they're not something that's proven to be there. And science does not recognize what we do. So we try as best we can to follow the scientific formula because that's how we're going to get our research recognized as true research. So the first thing in research is to identify your topic. Who here likes Bigfoot? Come on, louder, people. All right, good. So that's the topic, right? We're talking about Bigfoot today. So the next thing you gotta do is you gotta find people like you who wanna research Bigfoot. Who here wants to research Bigfoot? All right. The third thing to do is to figure out how you're going to do that. So are you gonna go in the woods? Are you gonna read every book you can find? Or are you gonna watch the shows on TV, right? How good are those shows on TV for research? Nobody's saying anything. Okay. So then you gotta decide if you're going into the woods, where are you gonna go, right? Where are you gonna go? Anybody? Nobody wants to go?
What's he asking?
Where do you want to go?
Where do you want to go in the woods?
Where nowhere else goes.
You are spot on, young man, to a place where there's a lot of Bigfoot sightings. So then while you're there, you're going to collect data, right? Not all data can be documented by photograph or recording, right? Sometimes you just don't have a voice recorder out there and some weird, crazy noise happens and you go, what the hell was that, right? I never heard that before. So, me, I have 20-some thousand photos on my phone. They're not all of Bigfoot, so everybody calm down. But I do have probably 10,000 photos of Bigfoot stuff on my phone. And then you collect all of the data and you have to analyze it, right? So you go back to wherever you go and you dig through it and you see if you can figure out patterns, things like that. And then you're going to communicate the results, which is what we're doing here today, right? You guys want to hear things, right?
Yeah!
That's why you're here? All right. So, first things first, we're going to tear this apart one by one. Identify the topic. So, you're going to examine current affairs, right? Y'all watch TV. Do you see all the shows? Expedition Bigfoot, Finding Bigfoot,
Yeah!
right? And some of those other ones. I'm sure we've all seen movies from Small Town Monsters, right?
Yep!
Yeah?
Yep!
Okay. So then you're going to consider your personal interests, right? So
Yeah.
part of that is going to be what you believe Bigfoot is, right? We don't know, right? Is there any experts out there?
Just Cliff!
No. So it's going to be what your personal beliefs are. If you believe he comes out of the sky in a UFO, then that's the advent you're going to take, right? If you believe that he's paranormal or travels dimensions and portals, that's what you're going to look for, right? So you're going to use some existing theories and research, because I'm sure you can pick up a book or turn on a TV show and you're going to see somebody talk about what your belief system is or what your thought process is. And then you're going to reflect on any experiences that you have personally had. In my research, I try to keep an open mind about everything because I don't know, right? Until I see him come down out of a spaceship and walk out, I'll be like, yep, UFOs it is, Or if he magically appears in front of me, I'll be like, okay, portals or dimensions, I'm on board, right? But until one of those things happen, or he comes out of the woods and sits by the fire with a beer with me and says, this is how I do it, I'm just gonna try to keep an open mind and take a look at everything. So I would show you this picture, but I can't. Across the street from my house, well, down a little bit of a road from my house, is a stop sign. You gotta go left or right. You can't go straight. You drive right through the cornfield. So in February of 2021, I'm a total non-believer. I could care less about Bigfoot. If they find it, that's great. If they don't, whatever. World's biggest hoax, right? And I look up, sitting at that stop sign, and there is the biggest thing I have ever seen walking across this cornfield, just like we walk, great big stride, and the first thing I thought of was, that's gotta be a bear, because I've hunted in this area, and I have never seen anything like this in my entire life. So, I immediately disregard the bear because bears don't walk like that, and he would not have cleared that cornfield in that quick a time. So I move on to what's next, which, hey, there really isn't anything left after that. There's a 9-foot tall, completely black thing crossing a cornfield. All I got is a bear. So I'm a talker, in case you haven't noticed, and I was quiet the entire day because I am on my phone Googling Bigfoot sightings in my area. And I thought there was going to be zero, because this is small town, Shamokin, coal miner. You know, if anybody has seen a Bigfoot, my husband says it's because they're drinking. So I found some. And then I was like, what the heck is going on, right? So I started digging a little deeper. At the end of the day, my husband says, you're being way too quiet. What's going on? I said, did you see that thing walking across the field? He goes, what thing? You know, because guys pay attention. And I said, the big giant black thing that cleared the cornfield. He said, I didn't see it. He goes, what do you think it is? I said, you're gonna think I'm crazy. I think I saw a Bigfoot. And he said, you're crazy. There is no Bigfoots here. So I started pulling up the reports and showing him. And of course he said, it's Shamokin. They're coal miners. They were drinking. Right? Because that's what happens every time. So I started watching the shows. First show I Finding Bigfoot. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that. I felt so bad for Bobo, I couldn't watch it anymore. The poor guy is huge, and that's all he was a Bigfoot stand-in. I couldn't watch it. And then I started buying books. I have quite the library nowadays. I'm still buying books because I can't stop buying them. I haven't read but maybe 3 of the books in my library because I just don't have time. And then I started going out. First thing I did was I spent several $100s on a Bigfoot BFRO expedition in the Allegheny National Forest, where I met these 2 great people right in front, Julie and Jeff Anderson, awesome people. My husband said I was crazy. Several $100s to go camping? And I said, I'm going, it's my birthday. It's my money, I'm gonna do it. Yeah. And I made the greatest friends on that trip that are still researching with me today. And it was the best couple $100 I ever spent. I'll never do it again, but it was fantastic. I learned so much. Like, I went out and bought a thermal camera, a night vision camera. I started stocking up on glow sticks. Yeah, that came from Jamie and Jenny King. They're around here somewhere. Taught me the glow stick trick. That was pretty awesome. I have 400 of them in my box right now. So then I started going to things like this, and I started talking to people, and I started meeting people, and I started listening to people's stories, and I started documenting where they had their sighting, what time did they have their sighting, what month did they have their sighting, and what did they see exactly. I want to hear every detail. If he had a boogie hanging out of his nose, I want to know about it, right? So I started plotting those sightings on a map on my phone, on Google, got it on here right now, and I can show you a pattern of how I think Bigfoot travels in the state of Pennsylvania, at least in my area, right? So I went on Facebook, I found 9,000 Facebook groups about Bigfoot and Dogman and any other cryptid that you want to imagine. There's a Facebook group out there. If you want to learn stuff or learn what not to do, that's a great place. Facebook is awesome. And don't be afraid to get torn apart, because if you post something somebody doesn't like, you will get torn apart.
True that.
But you need to find groups on Facebook that have the same interests as you and the same thoughts as you, because that's how you're going to learn. The second thing to do is to find researchers that you can research with that have the same kind of ideas as you. I try to find people that are very open-minded, just like me, that don't already have this it's flesh and blood only mentality, because I don't know that. I don't know. Why is it 1 second it's there and the next second it's not, right? I've been in the woods and seen the blue orbs flying around. Well, what the heck is that? Like, I don't know what that is. I did a tree knocker with my Got Knockers bat, by the way. It works really nice. And I got a blue light in the sky, just bouncing around through the trees. And I was like, what the heck is that? Because that wasn't there before I did the tree knock. So what does that mean? I don't know what that means, but you gotta document it. You gotta document stuff and think about things that are just strange and unusual. Like if you hear a weird noise and you can't attribute it to any kind of animal, write it down. What time it was, what did it sound like? If you didn't get it on a recording, if you're lucky and you're thinking about it and you get it on a recording, that's even better, because then you can share it with people instead of just trying to describe what it is that you heard. So some of the people that I've aligned myself with, and I try to align myself with the best, Jeff and Julie Anderson are my top go-tos because I love them. Michael Cook, Terry Wendell in the back, which you'll hear him talk a little bit later. Michael Cook will be talking a little bit later. Matt Arner, who I met on that expensive BFRO expedition. My friends Carrie and her husband Steve were on that same expedition. These are people that I research with all the time. And we can't always get together at the same time at the same place, but I can go to the Allegheny National Forest and I know that Jeff and Julie are going to be there with me. I know Bill Rigby is going to show up and we're going to be together. If I go to South Carolina, I know that Terry Wendell and Michael Cook, we're going to be together and we're going to be researching down there. So these kind of events here are very important for networking. So I can have, it's too light. I can't even read my phone anymore. So some of the, I'm just going to ditch the phone. So some of the experiences that I have had just around my house, which is where this all started, right? That's where the Bigfoot plunge happened. I have had rocks thrown at me. My husband and I will be in the yard and all of a sudden this rock will come. Like the tree line is a good 100 feet from, where we were standing. And this rock, you can hear it clear in the trees, lands right in between us. He'll look at me and go, "Did you see that?" "Yep, I saw that." He goes, "I'm going in the house." Because he don't want to, he's not had an experience, but he almost don't want to. It scares him. And he'll be like, "Are you coming?" And I'm like, "No, I'm going to finish doing what I'm doing." If he wanted to hit me with that rock, he would have knocked me out, right? I'd be laying in the yard right now. So I don't think they're there to hurt us. I don't know what the intention is, throwing the rocks at me in the yard. It's happened more than once. I've had people at the house, we'll be sitting around the fire and a rock will come crashing through the yard and they're like, and I'm like, that just happened. But we've had tree limbs broken out of trees and turned around and shoved back in the tree so that the broken end is sticking out. And the end of it is woven in. You cannot pull it out. The tree branch from 3 years ago is still in the damn tree. I could still show it to you. It's still there. In the bedroom, my bedroom window is on the downstairs. We live on a bi-level. Outside my bedroom window one night, I was home by myself, and I saw red glowing eyes looking back at me through the window when I went to close the blind. Needless to say, those blinds don't stay open anymore. They're closed at all times. But I was home alone, and the first thing I did was look around, see what's making that reflection, right? Because the first thing you do is try to debunk what it is before you move on to what it could be. So this is Pennsylvania, and I have a concealed permit, so I carry. Not today. But I grabbed my gun and a flashlight, and I went outside. and there was nothing there. So I took a picture of the window, took another picture, took another picture, took another picture, went back to the window, and there is a muddy handprint on my window screen that was not there in the first photo. And I was standing there the whole time. So what the heck was that? Because I was standing there the whole time. That freaked me out. So the window doesn't get open no more. The blind stays closed at all times. I don't look outside the window for no reason whatsoever because I don't want to see what's looking back at me. I have had tree limbs broken in the tree right outside my bedroom window, shoved in backwards. Outside tree branches that should just fall on the ground are shoved back in backwards and woven in there. I got one in there right now because the other two I pulled out. So this one I can't pull out. It is jammed in there and I can't get it. And it hasn't done it since. So I don't know if I pulled the marker and he didn't appreciate it. So he jammed it in there even harder so I can't remove it. I don't know what the thought process is. But, you know, those are just some of the crazy things at our house. I have a photo from a game trail camera behind my house that has 2 sets of eye shine in it. So I called my friend Matt Arner, who's a police officer, and said, you gotta get over here because we have some stuff to do. I wanna know how tall this thing is, and you're gonna show me how to exactly figure out how tall this figure is in this eye shine photo. The tall figure is about 9 feet. The smaller figure is about 6 feet. So I think I at least have a juvenile and an adult living in the woods outside my house. And I have had some experiences. My girlfriend and I, Carrie, will like to sleep in the yard in tents. I'll be in a tent, she'll be in a tent. We always leave voice recorders out all night long to record everything that happens. I've heard footsteps walking around our tents. I have heard giggling, which I actually audibly heard, and I thought Carrie was on the phone with her husband and she was laughing. So I just rolled over and went back to sleep. When I woke up in the morning, Carrie was sitting by the fire because she heard me talking to my chickens at 5:30 in the morning. Only when she got up to talk to me, I was sound asleep. And I got all of this on audio recording. It's crazy. This giggle, when I played back the audio, I nearly freaked out because I was like, I heard that giggle. But hearing your own voice on a recording when you were sleeping is really creepy. Very creepy. I don't know what did that. I can't say for sure it was Bigfoot because I didn't see Bigfoot make the sound, and I didn't see Bigfoot, throw the rock, and I didn't see Bigfoot tear the tree limb out of the tree. So I can only speculate. But these are things that I record. I write them down in a journal. I take pictures of everything. Everything's time-stamped and dated so that I know exactly when these things occurred, and I try to kind of map them out, like a timeline. So when are these things occurring? Are they occurring only in August, or is it year-round? I live very close to Centralia, if anybody knows where Centralia is.
Yeah.
There are a lot of caves and abandoned mines that are heated all year round. So could these things live in those abandoned mines? Absolutely. It's warm. You can drive through there in the middle of wintertime and see steam coming up out of the ground. So I don't know. I haven't been able to get out there yet. I'm hoping to. I have a friend from Florida that wants to come up, and we want to get out there and take a look around. But if you plot some of these stories that I've recorded, you can see on the map that they are all along the river. So to me, that means they're following the water. I also have a gentleman on that same plot that has UFO activity. Now, again, I'm not saying that they're related, but I don't know. So we document, even the UFO activity gets documented because I don't know. I have a picture of that homeowner in his yard with Travis Taylor. Does everybody know who Travis Taylor is? Yeah. Travis Taylor came to this gentleman's house to do an investigation on some circles that appeared in his yard, burned grass, complete circles. And above their heads in this photo looks to be a portal. The homeowner didn't even see it. I saw it when I looked at the photo and said, "What is that above your head?" Because it was really weird. And I have that photo on my phone, just if anybody wants to see it. It's pretty crazy. So, you know, I go to places like Georgia with Mike Famelon. We had some weird noises when we were out in the woods. He almost stepped on a rattlesnake. That was great. I saved his life. I think he owes me forever now. Because he doesn't pay attention. He's just walking. And I went, wham! I did the mom thing, like when you're slamming on the brakes in your car. And he went, what? And I said, dude, there's a rattlesnake right there. Like, come on, you're gonna get killed. I just saved your life. You owe me forever, right? That's why he was so nice when he was up here introducing me. But we've been to South Carolina with Terry and with Michael, and you will hear some of those stories from those two, but we had some really crazy experiences out there, and a whole group of us had the exact same experience. We all heard the same things. It was wild. And we've been back there two years in a row, which is awesome. And I think we're going to be back there again this October, so look for that, because that's going to be fun. But, you know, we've had all kinds of crazy, strange things happen, and nothing is ever going to get proven, and our research is never going to get taken seriously if we don't document it correctly. And I know a lot of people think that we're just out in the woods acting like, you know, lunatics, running around in the woods, knocking on trees, see what happens in the middle of the night, you know. Maybe some people do that willy-nilly just to get some kicks, but some of us are actually trying to do some solid research and make a difference in the field. But I try to work with kids because, let's face it, kids are a hot mess right now. They're all behind their cell phones and their gaming systems, and they've got no respect for people or anything. And so I try to get them interested in Bigfoot. We do local library things to get people bring their kids to the library, talk about Bigfoot. I have a collection of casts that I have out. The kids can see them. I'm currently writing a program for high school students, a weekend camp out where we can take them in the woods in the daytime and see nature, not just Bigfoot stuff, but nature, deer, raccoons. They probably have never seen any of these creatures before in their life because they don't get out. But then I want to take them on a night hike where we can also identify what creatures are we hearing, what animals are we hearing, because the sounds are different. Am I right? The nighttime animal sounds are very different from the daytime animal sounds. So these kind of things are important. So, and then the last thing we do is communicate all of this, the research that we do, we communicate out to you by way of festivals and conferences. And I don't really know what anybody else talks about because I never get to see anybody else's talks. So, I mean, I hope that kind of gives you some light on what we do, why we do it, and how we use that information to draw some of the conclusions that we have. I mean, we had out in the Alleghenies in September, those trees. We came across these trees, and I have photos of that. The tree bark was fine up till about 12 feet. From 12 feet to 24 feet, there were no bark on these trees at all. All the bark was laying on the ground. It looked like something had been laying on it. Kind of looked like a bed. I know that bears can take the bark off of trees, but I don't know that they do it 12 feet in the air to 24 feet. It just was odd. So we documented it. Huh? Oh, we did grab hair sample from that. I don't think we ever did anything with the hair sample yet. No, we got to talk about that, buddy. Allegheny National Forest. The odd thing, and I say this often, I've said it today several times, so if you've heard it from me today, I'm sorry, but you're gonna hear it again. Sometimes it's not about what you do see, or what you do hear, or what you find. Sometimes it's about what's not there. And on this camping trip to the Alleghenies, we put out a 5-gallon bucket of apples. Who doesn't like apples, right? Deer, bear, other animals, they love apples. 5-gallon bucket of apples was never touched. Purposely sat it out in the middle of a field. Nothing touched this bucket of apples. Second night, we cooked dinner, leftovers, hamburger and potatoes. Dumped it on top of the bucket of apples. Nothing touched that bucket. Nothing. Not a bear, nothing. And to me, that's odd. In the middle of the woods where people are not, something would take that stuff, and it didn't. And to me, I documented that, because to me that's important. Sometimes it's about what's not there, or what doesn't happen, or the fact that there are no sounds whatsoever. There's not even an owl. There's not anything. Crickets. Sometimes you hear nothing. And those are important things to document as well, because is it the apex predator coming through the woods and everything shuts up and goes silent? Or is there something else? So those are just some of the things that we look for in research, the things that are, the things that aren't, and we just try to document them as best we can by photo evidence. We log everything in logbooks. I know I keep track of everything in logbooks, and if we don't have audio or visual evidence, we still make sure that we log whatever it is that happened so that we can reflect on that later. Because maybe this one instance happened to me here, and somebody else somewhere else had the same experience, but we haven't connected yet. Then I'm at a festival like this, and somebody comes shares a story with me, and I go, hey, I had something similar happen, or somebody else gave me a report of the same thing. I can note back and see if they're in the general area of each other. Would these people know each other at all? You know, stuff like that. So it's very important. The research is very important. And if you have an experience at home that you think is not relevant, reconsider. If something strange has happened and you can't explain it, call somebody and just say, hey, this happened and I'm not quite sure what it is. It may be nothing, but you don't know what other reports they have. This could be something. So I just encourage people to share if you've got something to share. And I know you're more than welcome to share with me. If I'm not in your area, I'll share with your permission, of course, share it with researchers that are here that can take a look at it for you. So that's about all I got. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
They shoot the deer, big numbers. Two deer propagate back. They shoot the bear in limited numbers. The bear propagate back. Nothing shoots this thing. Why is it all over? See, I recognized him. I'm not Italian.
That's a good question. The question is when you kill deer in great numbers, they propagate and come back. When you kill bear in numbers, they propagate and come back. How is it that this thing is all over the place? And there's differences in them. I got asked to come to the UK next month to talk there in the UK because they have Bigfoot reports there. My question I want to know, I'm dying to find out, is what is their Bigfoot like? Are they describing the same things that we're describing here? Like, that's a question research is going to be the answer to that question, honestly. I don't know. We don't even know how many of them there are. There could be thousands. I wouldn't say that there's more than probably, I'm throwing a number out there, maybe more than 30. I don't think there's more than 30,000 Bigfoot in the world. I could be wrong, but there could be less. I don't know, because we have no way of counting them. Anybody else have a question? Any questions? I have seen feces that I can't explain. I saw some turds at this place in Wapwallapin where my homeowner with the UFOs and the Bigfoot is, and I was like, I have no idea what that is. It's not poop I've ever seen. It's not deer poop or bear poop. I've seen that. It's nothing. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I have pictures of that, by the way. I took pictures of the poop, so we can talk about it. I have pictures of the poop. I'll show you. Yes.
Question. You first saw this in like 2021?
2021.
Now, prior to that, did you notice any of these weird things happening, like the twigs behind your house, the trees? And
I did not notice the trees or the rocks being thrown. There were weird noises I couldn't explain, and my house is haunted. I have 4 entities in my house. So everything that happens before this, I just explained it away as, oh, it must be paranormal. It must be paranormal. I mean, that's what I did before I found Bigfoot. I paranormal investigated. So like these things don't bother me. I was just like, oh, it's gotta be a spirit outside or something, you know? But then I saw the Bigfoot, and one day my husband was like, what if all of that stuff before Bigfoot was Bigfoot and not paranormal? And I went, what is this you say? Like, because I still wasn't thinking about all that weird stuff that happened before. Could very well have been Bigfoot the whole time, and I was oblivious to Bigfoot, period. So I was chalking everything up to paranormal. So I've had to go back, because I was documenting all of that paranormal stuff, so I've had to go back in my notes and go, you know, this has been happening since the sighting, and it was happening before, so it's very possible that whatever's doing this was doing it then. So he's probably been there watching me a lot longer than I'm aware of. Yeah. To mimic my voice, I would think he's been watching me for quite some time. And I just was unaware. Anybody else? Oh geez, the smell. Yeah, let's talk about that. I have come home from places and opened my car door and I'm like, what the heck is that? Because it smells musty, moldy, like a wet dog and a dead person, all combined into one. I'm a paramedic, so I know what a dead person smells like. You get out of the car and you're like, oh my gosh. I've smelled it. And now that I'm aware of Bigfoot, I'm like, now I think of that smell as a whole different ballgame. I'm like, oh my gosh, like he's got to be close because that smell is just awful. And I live in the middle of the woods, so I mean we live in a kind of a development that we're really spread out, but we're surrounded by forest, and it's, man, the smell sometimes is atrocious. And other times you don't smell anything. So I live outside Shamokin. I live between Shamokin and Sunbury. Are you familiar with Shamokin? Oh, small coal town, old coal town. They don't even do coal anymore there. Yeah, it's just a small, dirty, old coal town. Yeah. Where I live is about 180 miles from here. It's about 3 hours east. No, I had a second sighting this past September at Salt Fork, Ohio. I camped with a group camp, and because my husband didn't come with me, I slept in the back of my Bronco. So Friday night, I'm sleeping in my Bronco. We get up in the morning. We drive down this old dirt road looking for a place that we wanted to research on Saturday night. And when we got back, I saw a huge handprint on the back of my car. Now, everywhere I touched on the car was not dusted, just this handprint. It was huge. So, of course, I took a picture of it. I docked several pictures of it, actually. And then I went home with my Cricut lifting tape, lifted the handprint in its entirety and framed it so I could take it to places and show people the handprint. But Saturday night, I'm sleeping in my Bronco. I woke up at like 4:20 in the morning. It got really hot inside my car. And I looked at my phone, it said 4:20. I looked out the back window and something was standing there. And I thought, well, that's odd because I'm parked up against the woods. So I would have had to drive through whatever was standing there to park where I was parked. And then I'm a big bad girl, right? I run into the woods in the middle of the dark with no flashlight. Freaked right out because, oh my God, like what if he finds out I'm awake? Is he gonna rip my back window out, drag me out by my ankle? Like this is the last time anybody's gonna see me or hear me? Like I was a little nervous because I'm by myself in my Bronco. So I laid there. I didn't even want to blink because I didn't know if she was gonna hear me. So when I looked back up a few minutes later, it was gone. But then I went into detective mode and laid there thinking, okay, so how tall is my Bronco? It's what, 5.5 feet from the ground to the top of the truck, and all I saw was his midsection, no shoulders or a head. So I estimate that whatever it was standing behind my car was at least 7, maybe 7.5 feet, and black as the night. I mean, there was just enough moonlight to like make out silhouettes. So I packed my stuff so fast Sunday morning and went home, and then called my husband on the way home, and he said, you gotta call Bill. I called Bill. Bill calls me back, and he says the lady across from me was sleeping in a tent. She got out of her tent at the same time to go to the bathroom and saw it standing there. So she checked it with her FLIR camera, and it was there. Only her FLIR camera doesn't take pictures, so there's no photo of it, unfortunately. But she drew me a picture. I also have a picture of that on my phone, if you want to see that. But go ahead. Did I what? I have not had anything, no, nothing. She asked about cloaked beings or any predator beings. I have not had any encounters with that, no. Anyone else? Nope. Well, then I'm done. If anybody wants to see anything that I've talked about, just hit me up at my Oh, sorry, honey. Oh, yes. He said he saw a thing one time that looked like a chupacabra. I got a funny story for that. It's kind of related. So the farmer that farms the field that I saw the Bigfoot in, I stopped him one day because I'm a crazy lady. He stopped on his tree. He was mowing the field, and he thought I lost my dog. He was like, "Did you lose your dog?" Because I'm mowing the grass, right? And I said, "No, I have a really weird question to ask you." He was like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Have you ever seen anything strange in your cornfields? Anything weird? Ever hear anything that you can't describe?" And he looked at me very seriously. This was a young farmer too. And he said, "Well, once I saw a chupacabra by my house, or at least that's what I thought it was." And I went, "What?" Because I thought he was going to think I was the crazy lady from over at the weird house. And then he ended up flooring me. I was like, "What?" Yeah, he said several years before he saw this thing that looked like a chupacabra. And I was like, well, now I got to look up at that, right? Because I got all the time in the world. Yeah, so chupacabra, that could be a real thing, right? A chupacabra? I kind of describe it as it's kind of like a mangy dog. I don't know how to describe it other than that. It's like a mangy dog. Bigger, yeah. Usually in like Texas, Arizona, places like that have chupacabras. Mexico is really good for the chupacabra, but I've not heard of anything until this day about a chupacabra being in Pennsylvania. Anybody else? No? Okay, thank you for listening.
Gwen Purcell.